Yeah, just about as groovy as a 10-cent movie. I'm your man, Calvin Gibbs, and this is Drama Talk Radio. Drama Talk Radio podcast, as you know, is the show where the word drama, DRAMA, stands for developing real and moving art. I am so happy, pleased, and blessed that you're here with us today for this segment of Drama Talk Radio because I have on the line with me a very special guest. She's a friend of mine that I've known for a while, and I didn't really understand or start to realize what she did outside of being a Toastmaster. We are both distinguished Toastmasters until I did some digging and I realized that she is creating and developing real and moving art. And I didn't even realize it. And she was right there all the time. Please welcome Stella Lorens to the show. Welcome, Stella.
Good morning, Calvin. It is great to see you here today. Thank you so much for inviting me on your wonderful broadcast.
It is my pleasure, Stella. And as I was saying, I've known you for a while, and I know that you did something with food and the likes, but I never really looked into it. And then I took a look at your website, and I was like, she's a culinary artist. Is that the right term, culinary artist? Or is it culinary stylist?
The culinary I describe my career at because not only do I do styling of food, but I do even more. And what I actually can do is I can sketch beautiful images of food. I can make beautiful compositions of food displays. So I can actually take the three-dimensional aspect to how food is presented on buffets, as you're greeted in beautiful hotel lobbies, all those really beautiful ways of styling it, but also capturing it in images. So culinary artist is the best way to describe somebody who can conceive ideas on how things should be displayed, photographed, captured, illuminated with light, and even do sculptures of art.
Wow. Now, just like any other artist, do culinary artists often participate or specialize in one area, or do they do it all?
Culinary artists focus on the art of food, the art of presentation, the art of presenting the best looking, appealing, beautifully prepared and styled for consumption food. And that's what we do.
And how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for several decades. And I started off being in school for an art degree and getting a bachelor's of art and science. But when I was in college, I realized that art and science was my passion. And that kind of led me to photography because when you look at it, photographers not only know the artistic balance of beautiful lighting and composition, depth of field, but they also have to know the actual science of how light moves and how it reflects and all the different particles of the camera to know how to handle it to make the best image happen. So that's what I started off doing, never realizing that I would have been so attracted to the art of food. And that happened right after college. So I'm really thrilled that I've been in this industry for such a long time.
Wow. Now, you talk about parallel lives. I studied engineering and would go up with my photography teacher over Long Island Sound. And he got me interested in taking pictures and photography and developing the film and printing the pictures as well. And that led to, well, that was born out of studying, let's say, a cube and looking at it from all different angles, not only the front and sides, but the top and the bottom, the depth of it. And that led to me supporting myself during college as the photographer for Delaware State. And I really love the aspects of photography of working in the darkroom, because for me, that's where you have a lot of opportunities to be creative. Sure, you behind the lens, you can do some things, but there's some things that can be done in the darkroom. So I know that today everything is digital, right?
Today, everything is digital. There's very little film used today. Digital has been developed in such a way that there's a lot of great dimension to even the pixels today, so that you can do so much more than what we even thought we could. I started off doing film, but my film was a sheet of film, which was 8 inches by 10 inches. So one sheet was 8 by 10. Now, a lot of people know film as being 35 millimeter. Well, that's just a fraction of that. So when we worked with photography and doing it with a studio camera, the studio camera would just be a huge camera with the lens in the back of the camera, but there would be bellows, and we would capture these images of beautiful food presentations on this sheet of film. And then when you looked at the cost of the film was $10 a sheet. So one exposure, one little click was $10. But then you had to develop the film, and that was another $6 of cost. So you're looking at that $16 per exposure. Well, if you were automatically trained to have details and perfection before you actually expose the film, because it was too costly to make a mistake. And today, with the digital world, you can take your smartphone, which does a beautiful job, or your beautiful DSLR, and actually do some beautiful images with it. We're not worrying about that cost. But what an experience it was.
Oh yeah. And I remember even the price of chemicals was pretty expensive for a kid in college, or to stop bath and things like that. And if you didn't have proper ventilations, oh, you could take a nap. I think I might have done that several times myself. But still, I want to talk a little bit about your website. It is exquisite. They say that we always eat with our eyes first, and you have some of the most beautiful. Beautiful is not even the right word, because the images pop off the screen, the colors, and even a drop of moisture looks like it's multi-dimensional. How do you how do you do it?
That's a, that's a great question. And the process of creating beautiful images is is something that you kind of study and learn throughout life. So I encourage people to actually keep on developing their love and passion for capturing the beauty of food presentations. In order to capture a beautiful image, you have to kind of study food. You have to look at it every single time you enjoy something. When you're cutting maybe an orange in the morning, take a look at how beautiful the the, the details of that orange is, and take a look at it and turn it to the light of the sun, or turn it to the light of the lighting in your kitchen, and you can see where the dimension comes from. So you have to know the art of lighting. You have to look and study food itself and what is the most beautiful way to see it. And I use the smartphone a lot when I go out dining, because to me, I capture ideas time and time after time with seeing something that was created by a chef or a cook and actually done beautifully. But after you take a look at and study the food and you learn the lighting of it, then you, of course, need to definitely moisten the food so that it has natural juices. When you cut an orange in the morning, it's not dry. It has moisture that pours out. Or it has if you wash it first, it beats up on the skin. So you want to remember those things, and you want to take advantage of it, because those are those added values to an image that makes it so delicious.
Now, you mentioned the art of food. Does that mean In some cases, you might have to doctor the food up to help it look spectacular.
Sometimes you have to do some things in preparation. If you are doing a beautiful image for a client, maybe a client that maybe manufactures and distributes steaks, let's just say steaks. Well, therefore, you have to actually have several cuts of meat, and you have to look and find the best one that represents the modeling of the beef or fat, and you have to look at the thickness, whether it's the right thickness. You have to basically find the best piece. And if you're going to be showing a steak in an image, steak is, if it's going to be, let's just say it's prepared as a medium rare, so you're going to need to just brown it. Well, browning a piece of meat, you want to make sure that the skillet is nice and hot, or the grill is nice and hot, and you want to definitely sear it. You want to be careful that you don't hurt it in any way when you turn it over, and you have to know the doneness has to be just right. A lot of times in cooking, we are just searing it. We're not cooking it to be edible. We're actually cooking it to make it look just right. And then learning how to keep it fresh on camera, because it takes a while to position it on a platter and actually have the garnishes around it and maybe a sauce that you may want to put on it. So knowing when to stage the different pieces and putting it on the plate is an art in itself. And of course, you're capturing that moisture. So sometimes you'll have that extra juice, that odd juice that you have on the side, or the demi-glace, and you actually pour it over it, and it glistens up, and all of a sudden you've got this luscious three-dimensional steak in front of you.
Yeah, I watch a lot of the cooking competitions on the Food Network, and plating is always so important. And when you're rushed for time and their seconds are beating down and they just kind of throw the food on the plate and then put it before the judges, I was like, that's not good. That doesn't look appetizing. The food can taste so good, but it doesn't look that way. So let's talk about your website again. I was looking at pouring champagne into glasses, and I did a lot of that in the last few weeks, the beginning of the year here. But I didn't look at it quite this way. I'm looking at three flute champagne glasses. There's moisture, there's the bubbles of the champagne going into the glass, and the picture is actually pouring from the champagne bottle. Now, the white cap covering on the top, the neck of the bottle, even has moisture on it. That's exquisite. And the background that the flutes are standing in front of, man, how long does it take you to get something like this just right?
Quite a bit, and it's good to have as well. It takes time to do this, and I've trained a lot of assistants to work with me. It's having like a relationship of doctor and nurse in surgery. You have to have an assistant that helps you, that knows and almost anticipates your moves. But I'll tell you exactly how that image is created. First of all, the glasses are selected. So in this case, those are the glasses that the company I was working with were selling. Of course, they have to be washed, because whenever they come from the manufacturer, there is a little bit of a film on it, and you have to make sure you wash it. And even cleaning it the proper way makes a difference, because if you over clean it, you almost put more marks into the glass. So you have to be careful on how you clean the glass. People don't even realize that, but that takes one step. And then, of course, you are then putting it on some surface, and you want to angle them at a certain angle, showing depth of field. And you want to show that, because that almost a repetitive staging means that there's going to be a party, it's going to be celebrated. So that already gives you that illusion of fantastic event. And therefore, you have clean glasses on a surface, and you actually may mark the surface where the glasses are at. So you may use like a little pen and mark it where they're at. Because when you go to pour, you may have an accident and you have to readjust that. So your camera is set. You've got it, you're not holding it by your hands. You're actually putting it on a tripod. You've got that in position. The second thing you want to do is do the lighting. So you know that lighting that comes through glassware is always more dimensional than directly toward it. So you want to bring lights from around the back, and you want to have it so that the lighting comes through the elements that are in that beautiful glass. So you set the lights, and the lights are crucially put into position. Not only do you put one light, but you may bring a light from the bottom, because there's a dimension called lighting from the bottom. And then you put all that together, and then you get the bottle ready. So the bottle has to be prepared as well. You may want to make sure the label is cut in such a way so it doesn't look poor and just hacked off. You may want to make sure that if there's any wording on it that needs not to be there, that you actually will block it out. And then you actually then look for you want to uncork it, but you want to make sure that the bubbles are still into that champagne. So it's just basically making sure you have another one on the side in case you have to quickly pour it into that bottle. The moisture comes from spritzing it with a sprayer, just like you have a little atomizer to spritz the plants at home.
Right.
Device to spritz the bottle. And you also will spritz the glass as well, because even though most likely the glass itself will have some bubbly effects in it, you want to really bring it out. So many times I'll have my assistant ready to pour, the bottle's been chilled, it's been spritzed, and even the glasses may be in the freezer off the side that you quickly put in, because that natural change of how it goes from cold to being warmed by the light, and then the bottle being poured into the glass. Oh my gosh. And the time to capture that, boom. It takes just a split second and you've got it. You have to look at it and catch it. And guess what happens? That's done. You have to pour the champagne out, clean the glass, put it back in there, and do another take. So it takes a little bit of time to do the right pour.
Wow. And I'm looking at, I guess this is a Moscow mule in the copper cups. Yes. And the amount of moisture seems just perfect. Now, something like this, would you let the contents, moisturize the outside of the container, or is that sprayed as well, spritz it as well?
You can put the container in the freezer and you can bring it out and it'll have a natural coldness to it, but you want to bring it out a little bit more, because you may add a little bit more spritzing of spray of water to bring it out a little more. And a lot of times Moscow mules have limes on it. It's a typical garnish for Moscow mules. You want to maybe take the lime, you have several ones cut. And when you look at it, when you cut a lime, you want to make sure the lime is cut beautifully. Because if it's looking dry or it looks like it's got that film over it that separates the different segments of the lime, it doesn't look good. It does not look appealing. You don't want to have a seed in it, because then that will suggest that somebody could actually accidentally drink the seed and get choked up. So you have to take that out as well. And then you'll have the lime set on the side, and then you actually will spritz it and then put it back on it so that you can control it. And all that stuff takes speed, but you have to be calm enough to make sure that you are doing it accurately and the details are there. You may even have a lime a lemon, or a leaf of a mint that you want to add another dimension to. You select them ahead of time, and you have a plate of them on the side and a little bit of water. You pick out the one that you think is right, you spritz it, and you put it back on it. So all that detail before makes the images the best.
Wow, there is so many layers of detail that I had never even thought of before. Excuse me. So, Stella, do you work in collaboration with folks, or do you like to work by yourself with an assistant?
I love to I absolutely am very passionate about collaboration. To me, collaboration is the meeting of minds. It's when everyone's got a different viewpoint. Everyone comes from a different perspective and the point of origin of thought. And when you can collaborate, you are bringing in the depth of a person in your collaboration. You're considering their sights, their input, their journey. And I love collaboration because so many times you may do something because you really believe it's the right way to do it. Of course, you're going to do it that way. But somebody may say, hey, how about if we do it this way? Instead of being offended that maybe they don't like the way you're doing it, the best thing you could do is listen to what they say and try it out. And the wonderful thing about digital is that you've got the ability to take an image the way you see it, and then you have the ability to take an image the way you see it and what the other people see it as. And then you can put them right next to each other, and there's no major cost to doing that. Not like it was years ago. And you can take a look and say, "Oh my gosh, I can see where they're right. They're right. I thought I was right, but I no. What they added a huge value to the piece. So I'm crazy about collaboration."
Fantastic. So since everything is digital these days, do you ever like Photoshop? If you have an idea and they have an idea, and maybe there's a medium meeting of the minds, do you Photoshop some things?
I do. I love Photoshop very much because Photoshop has the ability to make things even look better. Or you can quickly put together a concept, a prototype. So you can actually communicate a lot of your ideas through Photoshop. So many times I do a great deal of Photoshop where I do a photo composition. Maybe I want that champagne, but maybe I want to put an appetizer in the image as well. Maybe we're going to have a flaming saganaki to go with the champagne. Well, there may be two different images that I really need a lot of great control over to make sure I capture it. So maybe I'll take a photograph of the champagne scene in one image, then take a photograph of the flaming cheese, which is going to be a burst of flames coming up, and 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 capture just the right one that has a sparkle of light, the actual fizzle of the juices coming up, and then taking those two images, finding the right background, and photoshopping them in to one image. And that can be a stunning image that you can't quite get into one take. It's really kind of fun to do that in Photoshop.
Okay, cool. My next question, Stella, is about. Oh, this is what I wanted to ask you. I was looking at some of the pictures of fruit, and the colors are so vibrant, and they seem the way the light hit them, they seem almost not real. I've seen plastic fruit give similar effects. Do you ever use non-food in your pictures?
I use real food images,
Okay.
and 99.5% of whatever you see is real. And there's a rule that you have to use real because if you are, let's just say you're photographing ice cream, if you are selling that ice cream, you really need to use that ice cream you're selling. So if it's a certain brand, you've got to be using that brand. And that's just the law of advertising. But if you are selling the chocolate syrup that's going on ice cream, you can actually get away with using ice cream that is made out of confectionery sugar mixture. And therefore, it is a food element, but not necessarily ice cream. And the reason you would do that is maybe you want to show the pattern of how that syrup goes down the different avenues of the ice cream. And you really need to control that in the images. So therefore, having a scoop of ice cream would just melt too quickly to capture that. So you may use this compound of confectionery sugar to help sustain that background for that chocolate sauce to be put onto. So that's why I say it's 99.5% because you have to have the ability to use something to help get some images across.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. I was looking when you mentioned ice cream. I was looking at your website and I saw the pictures of the berries and the ice cream. Oh my God! I know it's only 10 o'clock in the morning, but I would like to get some ice cream right now. The way you have captured this is it's so inviting. It looks so creamy, so delicious. Man, this is something else. So I do have a couple more questions for you. I saw some pictures of flowers. Is that something as well that you do? Photograph plants and flowers?
I could, when you do food is the hardest thing to capture because it changes. If you're doing anything, even capturing mushrooms or apples, they all go brown, so you have to capture it fast. So that's the hardest thing to capture is food. But other things like plants, they too change a little bit. So a lot of times I find the beauty in everything. And the flowers that are photographed and are featured on my website are actually we're at a restaurant and I came in, there was Easter and they had these beautiful flowers everywhere. So I quickly took my smartphone and captured it because it was so stunning and the lighting was so perfect on it. So why not take it? Why not grab that image? So I will constantly, as I'm out there, grab images of what I see. Sometimes I could be walking down at the airport and I see the walls of glass reflecting the city. Well, why not capture it? Just because I consider myself a culinary artist doesn't mean I don't see the beauty in everything. And I will definitely capture those images. And I keep them in my library of images. I have over 100,000 images just in
Wow.
my camera.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes.
So, Stella, what's next for you in the world of culinary artistry?
I'm actually working on several projects right now. I am looking to help the small business owners in the restaurant industry that has been hit so deeply by COVID. I want to help those restaurants thrive and even maybe thrive in the new future. I always believe what goes down comes back up. And if we can be positive and prepare for the best, we will always be ahead of the game. So I want to help these restaurant owners and reach out to them. And what I want to do is I want to capture whatever their food offerings are. A lot of times they're signature dishes that they're very compassionate about. The chef has something that he does so well. He nailed it, and he wants to share that with other people. Or maybe the owner of the restaurant has something that is a family-owned recipe. I want to be able to help those restaurants. And I first will go ahead and contact them, really investigate a little bit about that restaurant, what got them started, what is their theme, what are they striving for, and actually then schedule time to actually create those images for them and then give it to them so they can use it on social media to bring business back into their facilities or actually broadcast it in social media that people can see what they're doing and get their clientele back to dining with them in safety and enjoyance of life.
So, in this case, they would prepare the food for you, and then you would um, style it.
That's what I do a lot of times. I have in the past driven around the Midwest area of the United States and on assignment to go capture the best tabletop presentations by capturing a lot of times restaurants not only take care of their food that they're offering, but they also look at their menu design and they'll also look at the decor. Does it all tie together? And they select the dinnerware that reflects that decor, the glassware that reflects what they're trying to do. If it's a speakeasy or if it's sophisticated dining or if it's country dining, whatever it is. So I go ahead and capture that story, that why they're putting all that offerings together. A lot of times the maybe it's not the chef, maybe it's the main cook that's preparing all these beautiful recipes that they have had forever. They may be really good preparing it to taste, and maybe they can get the right doneness of the chicken or the pasta, but they may not be able to present it in a beautiful presentation because that's not exactly what they're about. I will help them with that. So they will actually prepare maybe the steak or the chicken or the fish on the side, and they may bring the pasta on another side, and I actually will put it together on a plate and make it look perfect in presentation. And then I'll get those little additives that add so much to a plate, the garnishes or the side dishes or the beverage that's offered with it or whatever. And those dimensional pieces, including the flatware and the dinnerware, is just sometimes breathtaking to see.
Wow. And Stella, do you have any words of wisdom for anybody just starting out, want to get into the culinary field? And when people, I think generally when people think the culinary field, they think learning to be a chef. But I've come to realize there's a whole lot of other avenues available. So, do you have any words of wisdom for someone hoping to get into the culinary field?
Kelvin, it's so true. There are a lot of people that really are enjoying the art of food. I contribute, I've been around for a long time. I contribute a lot of that because of the Food Network. All those different food networks have really added a huge awareness to the beauty of enjoying food and nourishing food and just celebratory food. And what I contribute to that is that most people are today are actually taking pictures on their smartphones and they're posting it on their Instagram or they're posting it on their Facebook or they're actually sharing it in Pinterest. And I just think that is fantastic because what they're doing is they're saying, this is what's so beautiful. I really see that this is stunning. I really want to capture it. I like this. And they're showing it. I encourage people to keep on doing it. And as they're doing it, get better at it. Really take a look at it, at looking at things at a different angle. Take a look at different lighting and, and make notations to yourself how you've captured it and what you learn from it. Because every single time you take an image and you really work on getting it better the next time, you are actually perfecting your skill. And then take some culinary classes. A lot of places are offering culinary schools. In fact, today, because of the pandemic, there's been a lot of classes online on social media from a chef who wants to teach you how to do something, how to sharpen a knife, or how to prepare a beautiful dessert or whatever. Take those courses. Get involved in taking classes. Even a store down the main street of your town may have some classes there. Take them. They may be teaching you how to do a barbecue grill in the summer. Take those classes because every single time you do something, you're adding one more skill to your art.
Okay. Great advice, Stella. Thank you so much. Stella Lorens, you are definitely developing real and moving art. Thank you so much for being my guest on Drama Talk Radio Podcast.
Thank you so much, Calvin, for having this. This is such a great idea. I'm just so impressed with what you're putting together and sending out there so other people can listen and hear.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, that's about all, y'all, for this segment of Drama Talk Radio. Again, I want to thank Stella Lorens for enlightening us on the area of culinary artistry. Thank you, Stella. And I'm
Thank
your
you.
and I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs. It's always imparting that we take two steps to the rear and get on out of here until the next episode of Drama Talk Radio. Exit stage left.